Dear viewers, it's FloridaMan again. Today we're going to make an entry in the Strategic Maxims series. That means we're applying strategic concepts from the wider world to the game of diplomacy. The focus this time will be on the third law from Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power: Conceal Your Intentions. It sounds basic, but only because it's among the most fundamental unwritten rules of the game of diplomacy. I'll try to analyze it in such a way as to add value beyond the arguable cliché of the rule, and to make it specifically applicable to your games. At its most basic, to conceal your intentions is the purpose of almost every bounce by Russia and Turkey in the Black Sea, as well as most coordinated bounces generally. I would say concealing your intentions is also the primary advantage of the key Lepanto over the regular Lepanto. The key Lepanto, in which Italy moves Venice to Trieste and then on to Serbia, uses deception to compensate for Italy and Austria being weak relative to Turkey and Russia in the early game. Concealing your intentions is also the entire purpose of the frankly slightly ridiculous Ship of the Desert maneuver, in which Turkey moves a fleet into Armenia for the purpose of appearing to be in conflict with Russia, usually with somewhat limited success. Still, the value in these maneuvers is fairly clear. By making Austria believe Turkey and Russia are at odds, you can lower his guard, cause him to neglect his relations with the important neighbor Italy in favor of a false idea of an alliance with Turkey or Russia, learn what his moves will be, obtain his support, and make sure that when you finally do stab him, it sticks. By making Germany believe Turkey and Russia are fighting, you might influence him to let Russia into Sweden. By making Italy believe it, you might give him reason to go after Austria, when his better judgment might otherwise tell him not to. After all, without the juggernaut to worry about, what does he have to lose? This principle is generalizable to everywhere on the map. When I play as England or France, I almost never open to the Channel. Because, the truth is, the advantages of concealing your intentions are perhaps even bigger in the West, and they certainly outweigh the disadvantages of moving to the Channel, and essentially openly declaring war exists between England and France, because that gives Germany, who can't really commit forces in significant strength against either of them in 1901, the opportunity to choose the winner of the fight. Not only that, it's a declaration of war that lacks any teeth since it's a single, unsupported unit, and it can't take anything from the enemy unless they let it happen. You would have to not defend London or not defend Brest in order for the Channel move to actually be dangerous. In short, it's the kind of move that's only worthwhile if it's by agreement by both parties to make it look as if they're fighting. That could cause Germany, Russia, and Italy to misunderstand the situation, which could in theory put France and/or England at an advantage. I'll give you an example of a game in which the rules were not followed. As you can see, looking over this map, England can open to the Channel very early, but if the English player goes this route, without receiving meaningful German support, it will take until at least 1903 for them to even crack into Brest, assuming that the French player is competent. And that progress was partly luck, in my opinion. The reverse is also true. If France moves to the Channel, he's also unlikely to make any significant progress against England without outside help. It's just an open declaration of war with no real purpose if you do it that early and without Germany on your side, or Russia. These tactics and principles are, of course, generalizable. You can conceal your intentions in any situation that lends itself to ambiguity. Use vague statements, ambiguous moves, misdirection, and outright lies. Be cautious because I've just given you these tactics in ascending degree of how offensive they're going to be to your fellow players. Each one is increasingly more likely to put the other players on their guard against you. Unsurprisingly, vague statements will not make people too upset when they realize they may have misunderstood what you were going to do, whereas outright lies will quickly erode your social capital with people who realize that that player doesn't do anything he says he's going to do. A final note I would make on concealing your intentions is it keeps your options open. If you move in an ambiguous way, it means you could generally turn on either one of your neighbors. Once you've actually started a clear fight with someone, you become vulnerable to other neighbors sensing weakness, or to betrayal by your own ally. Instead, you should conceal your intentions until your forces are ready to strike a decisive blow against your prospective opponent. Ideally, your ally should embroil themselves in the fight before you, and draw the enemy's forces toward another front before you actually strike. As I said at the beginning, concealing your intentions is one of the most basic ideas in diplomacy. If anyone knew my full plans and intentions for the game, and for them specifically, in spring 1901, I'd probably never survive 1902. I hope this has been interesting or helpful, and that something you've heard here will spark your creativity. Because as I said, this is such a generalizable principle, you can apply it to almost any point in the game, and in many different ways than the few that I've actually cited. I'll look forward to your feedback in the comments below, any other ideas you may want to share about the concept I discussed in this video, Conceal Your Intentions, or suggestions for future strategy videos. Please like and subscribe. I'm aiming to hit 1,000 subscribers by a year from now, and ultimately to become the biggest diplomacy YouTuber. Until next time, FloridaMan out.